Part 1. In College Admissions. Money Talks. After I left the orphanage, I entered the 5th grade at a regular secondary school. At the time, in North Korea, students attended school for 11 years, 1 year of kindergarten, 4 years of primary school, and 6 years of secondary school. The 5th grade of secondary school corresponds to the 2nd year of high school in South Korea, a crucial time for preparing for college entrance exams. Like my friends, I began studying hard to enter the university of my choice. I stayed up all night studying. In North Korea, in the mid-2000s, students who failed revolutionary history were often considered politically untrustworthy to the party and its leader, which could seriously affect their chances of advancing to higher education. So driven by a desire to attend a good college, I memorized all the facts about their birthplaces, achievements, political timelines, and other details. My grandparents always told me that I had to graduate from a good school and marry a good man. For North Korean women, graduating from a college or university was a qualification for a decent marriage, not a means for success. A popular saying was, "It is far better to marry well once than to earn 10 degrees." North Korea's college admissions system did not require entrance application forms or personal statements. Those eligible for the entrance exams took preliminary tests at a designated school and had to achieve an average score of 3.0 or higher. I knew the process was unfair. Entering a university and getting a good job are extremely difficult in North Korea. Those privileges are granted only to those with the Baekdu bloodline, i.e. members of the Kim family, or to wealthy families. Since I didn't have a decent songbun, I couldn't enter the medical school of my dreams. Fortunately, I was the only student at my school who exceeded the required score on the preliminary exam, which qualified me to take the exam for a teacher training college. The joy I felt was indescribable, and I was thrilled that my hard work and persistence had paid off. My delight didn't last long. All my efforts through countless sleepless nights crumbled in an instant when I failed the National University entrance exam. I couldn't understand it. I was at the top of my class. There was no way I hadn't passed. Soon after, I found out that the reason I hadn't passed was that I hadn't bribed the dean. The teachers' college was in the process of building a new computer lab. Since university education in North Korea is supposed to be free, schools were not allowed to charge tuition. As such, universities used unofficial methods to raise funds. Meanwhile, the university's faculty and staff earned roughly $2 a month, which was nowhere near enough to survive. Bribery and corruption were essential to making a living wage. No matter how clever you were, students without money couldn't even dream of setting foot in a university. It was jokingly said, college entrance exams are no longer about ability. They are a test of eyesight. In other words, the exams were not a competition based on skills, but a financial inducement that made the proctors turn a blind eye to cheating. An acquaintance who worked for an organization affiliated with the university told my grandparents, even if Eunhee is at the top of her class, she will still have to give around $500 to the college dean to avoid any problems. At the time, that was enough to buy a small house in the countryside. My grandparents, not wanting to burden my wealthy uncle, kept this information to themselves. They tried to raise the money on their own, but failed in time, and eventually missed the deadline. When I heard that I didn't get in, I wept silently all night. I shed tears of my resentment for the unfair world and of anger for a system rotten to the core. I resented having to live in a society that degraded me, where I didn't have the freedom to speak out against injustice. The only thing I could do was to follow the government's alternative path. In North Korea, students who fail the university entrance exams are given a second chance through junior colleges. I ended up studying biopharmaceutical engineering at Wonsan Junior College of Chemical Industry. Although I had to give up my dreams of becoming a doctor, I found comfort in the fact that studying pharmaceutical manufacturing could still bring me close to that dream. Even my grandmother, who was a pediatrician, was very proud of me. When I entered college, my grandparents bought me a new bicycle for $100 to reduce my commute time to school so I could focus solely on studying. They also gave me unwavering love and support. Thanks to them, I was able to get to the college an hour away on foot in just 30 minutes. I could use the extra time to preview and review my coursework and dive more deeply into my studies of inorganic and organic chemistry. When it was time for midterms and finals, I proved myself through my performance, never relying on anyone to look the other way. I always received the top grades on exams, and all the professors in my major knew my name. I did my best to fulfill my role until the very end. Despite social injustice and unfairness, I stayed grounded and held on to my passion for education. I believed that hard work always paid off, and that if I gave it everything I had, my life would eventually change. My only path was to avoid giving in to injustice and grow stronger despite hardship so that the world could not control me.